Hello, my name's Alan Williams. I've been asked to show you how I present my dead baits using the twig, the big twig, as invented by Barry McConnell, which is 100mm long, 3mm thick, and as you can see I've got the hook going in through the mouth and coming out by the eye. Then there's a piece of rubber red maggot just threaded on to keep the point slightly proud of the bait. Now, since using the big twig, I've lipped up all my eels that I've caught since last year, and they're usually hooked in the bottom lip right at the front. And I've also started using prawns. First off, I started using whole prawn and missed too many runs, so then I chopped it in half, and as you can see, hook coming out the side of it with a piece of rubber red maggot, just to keep the hook slightly proud of the bait. Now, I tend to use barbed hooks, but I crush the barb down so there's just a little hump where the barb should be, and it just helps to keep the hook in, I think. And also, when you're using this method, you need a pair of scissors, because with them being lip hooked, it can get caught in your net, and you need to have a pair of scissors handy so you can cut your tray so you don't get in a right mess, because they ball up in your net otherwise. Now, one of the things with the twig, I think, is the flexibility between the twig and the hook. Now, eels, when they're feeding, especially on invertebrates, the food they eat is got suckers, hooks, tails that wrap round things, and when they're picking them off stones and roots and branches and stuff, bottom debris in general, it's actually stuck to them and it's quite firm, so they're used to pulling it off. And I think with the twig, with it being so light, they tried to pull it off and it goes with them, and they're confused and they just swim off with it. And as I say, they're nearly all lip hooked. And as you can see how I've got my twig on my trace, I've got it so it's not impeding the gape of the hook. The hooks I use are size 6 long shanks from bank tackle for me worms, and short shanks for me dead baits, continentals. And as I say, I've never deep hooked an eel since using the twig. I first found out about the twig in 2017 when I had a nostalgic session with Barry McConnell on a water where I caught my first 4-pounder way back in 1975. And as they say, I think, if memory serves me correctly, I think Barry that year had 88 eels with 11 4-pounders, and they were nearly all lip hooked. I think they all were lip hooked. And that was using the original twig, which was about 250mm long and a millimetre thick, but it was found with the largemouth eels, the ones that I term fish eaters, it wasn't quite successful. And that's when he developed the big twig, as we call it now, and it's very successful. I prefer to use dead bait sections, but if I did use a whole bait, I wouldn't use anything longer than 3 inches, and I would look it in the dorsal fin. And also, it can be used with any rig, Dyson rig, off bottom rig, on the bottom rig. Now, some of the waters I fish at the moment are very silty. There's one in particular which is only 2 to 4 feet deep and very, very, very silty. And I've got this buoyant ledger stem from Catfish Pro Tackle, and as you can see, there's quite a length to the flotation bit, ceramic run ring, a 30-yard cast with a 2-ounce lead in this water, and it's really plugged in. You have a job to pull it out, so I tend to use 2-ounce leads, and with that being a bit longer, I think that stops just above the silt, keeps the eye proud of the silt, and works a treat. Now, in deeper waters where it's silty, I use the Gray's buoyant ledger stems with a ceramic run ring fitted, and if you're fishing, say, over 6 foot depth, that slows the lead down on descent, and it sort of jams in the silt and keeps your run ring just above the silt. It works a treat. Now, I'm going to show you how I hook my worms on. Now, we've all heard of people getting hooks stripped by eels, but I don't think that's the case, and many a time I think what happens is, if you're fishing the water with rudding, especially say on the Dyson, I think, well, I've actually seen it, rudd stripping the worm off your hooks. So what I do first is get the worm and stick the hook in the head and thread it down the length for about a good inch or so. Then I push that right up to the twig. As you can see, there's just a point showing there, and then what I do now is actually get my scissors, off that line. I cut the worm round about there, and then just put sections on, nip it off, push it right up. And there we have it. And one thing I forgot to do was get a piece of rubber maggot just to put over the hook, which what I tend to do is chop one in half. When I get one out, should have done it earlier. Chop it in half, that's near enough. Put it on the point of the hook, and you'll see in a minute it holds everything in place. There we are, quite a small bait. You just see the hook point proud there. Now if that gets stripped off, the bits, what you usually end up with is the length of worm threaded on is still on the shank of the hook, so there's actually still a bait there for anything to grab hold of. And I've caught loads of eels on that, and all lip hooked with a big twig. I don't like to use big bunches with tail bits hanging off, because then you get pickups and they're just picking the loose ends and running off with it. I like to use a compact bait so they get the whole thing in the mouth, and the flexibility of the twig makes them run with it and lip hooked. Now, just walk my hands a bit. I buy my twigs in 1 metre lengths off eBay from a clear plastic company, and they sell it at 53p a metre. So I got 20 metres, a lifetime supply. Now I've supplied friends with this, I've even posted some to some friends, and it's dead easy to cut to length. All you need to do, get the length off another one. All you need to do, go around it, just press slightly, go around it and snap. There you are, there's your 100mm length. Dead easy. Cheap as chips. The first length I bought off eBay cost me, I think it cost me about £6 for ½ metre in length. I know you can buy them cut to length, but as I say, I found the clear plastic company and they do it for 53p a metre. There you are, look, dead easy. Nice and neat cut. Just nick it all the way around with a Stanley knife and you're done. And I think that's me done. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.